The massive alien ships filled the black space above Earth like giant metal monsters. Admiral Kim Tae-ho stood on the command deck of the human flagship, looking out at the enemy fleet through the big windows. His old hands held tight to the metal rail as he watched the huge ships that were 3 times bigger than any human vessel. These ships belonged to the Velkari Empire, and they had come to take Earth. Lieutenant Park So-jin sat at her communication desk with her fingers moving fast over the control buttons. She looked up at the Admiral with worry in her dark eyes. The message was the same as before. The aliens wanted all humans to give up and become their slaves or die fighting. Park So-jin had been working on the bridge for 5 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The Velkari ships were so big they blocked out the stars. Each one could destroy a city with just one shot from their main weapons. Earth had 40 human ships to fight with, but the aliens had over 200 vessels floating in space above their home planet. Kim Tae-ho was 60 years old and had been fighting in space battles for most of his life. His hair was gray and his face had many lines from years of worry and command decisions. But his eyes were still sharp and his mind was still quick. He had been planning for this day for months ever since the first reports came in about the Velkari Empire destroying other worlds. The Admiral walked over to the main communication system and pressed the buttons to send a message to the entire solar system. Every human ship, every space station, every colony would hear his words. He cleared his throat and spoke in a calm, clear voice that carried the weight of all humanity behind it. This is Admiral Kim Tae-ho speaking for all humans everywhere. We know you can hear this message, Velkari Empire. You came to our home without asking permission. You want to make our children into slaves or kill them. We will not let this happen. We have drawn an invisible line around our Earth and all our colonies. If you cross this line with weapons ready to fight, you will face everything that humanity can do to stop you. This is the only warning we will give you. The main screen lit up with the image of the Velkari commander. He was twice as tall as any human with 4 arms and skin that looked like silver metal. His face had no nose but 4 eyes that glowed red in the darkness. When he spoke, his voice sounded like metal scraping against stone even through the translation machine. You humans are weak little creatures. Your weapons are simple toys compared to ours. Your ships are small and few. We have destroyed races that were much stronger than you. We have turned entire star systems into ash and dust. Give up now and we will let some of you live to work for us. Fight us and we will kill every human in the universe. Commander Lee Dong-wook stood next to the Admiral holding a datapad with battle plans that had been prepared for months. He was younger than Kim Tae-ho, but his face showed the same determination. His job was to coordinate all the human forces when the fighting started. He had studied every Velkari battle for the past year, looking for weaknesses in their attack patterns. Kim Tae-ho looked directly at the alien commander on the screen. His voice was steady and cold when he answered. You have been warned about what will happen if you attack our home. What comes next is your choice to make. He turned off the communication link and the alien face disappeared from the screen. The Admiral turned to face his bridge crew. Every person on the command deck was looking at him, waiting for orders. These men and women had families on Earth below. They had children and parents and friends who were counting on them to protect the human race from being wiped out or enslaved. Kim Tae-ho looked at Commander Lee Dong-wook and nodded. Begin the first part of our plan. Send the signal to all human ships. Tell them to move back to the positions we marked on the star charts. It is time to show these aliens what happens when someone tries to hurt our families. All around the solar system, human ships began to move. They looked like they were running away from the much larger alien fleet. The Velkari commander watched the human vessels retreat and smiled with satisfaction. Soon he would add another conquered world to his empire, and another species to his collection of slaves. But Admiral Kim Tae-ho and his forces were not running away. They were moving into position for a battle plan that would show the galaxy what humans could do when their children were threatened. The real fight was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they were walking into. The attack began with no warning at all. Captain Han Ji-woo pushed her ship Iron Mountain to maximum speed, heading straight for the biggest Velkari vessel. Her ship was packed with so many explosives that it could crack open a small planet. All around her space was filled with dozens of other human ships doing exactly the same thing. The Velkari sensors finally detected that something was wrong, but it was already too late to stop what was happening. The alien commander tried to order his ships to fire on the approaching civilian vessels, but his weapons officers were confused. These were supposed to be harmless mining and cargo ships running away in fear. Han Jiwoo looked at the picture of her daughter Minjung one last time before the impact. For Earth, she shouted into her communication system. For humanity and for all our children. Her ship slammed into the Valkyrie flagship with the force of a nuclear bomb. The explosion was so bright it could be seen from Mars. The blast destroyed the alien ship shield generators and punched a huge hole in its armored hull. Immediately after that, more human ships crashed into other Valkyrie vessels. Each explosion set off chain reactions that lit up space like dozens of new stars being born. The perfect Valkyrie formation broke apart into complete chaos. Ships scattered in all directions trying to avoid the suicide attacks. Some aliens tried to fire their weapons, but more human ships kept coming from every direction. The organized alien fleet became a confused mess of burning metal floating in space. Lieutenant Colonel Cho Min-ho watched the beautiful destruction from his hidden command center inside the Ceres asteroid. When he saw that the alien ships were in exactly the right position, he gave the order that his team had been waiting months to hear. "Light them up," he roared into his communication device. "Fire everything we have." All around the asteroid belt, space rocks that had looked completely normal suddenly opened up like metal flowers. Massive railguns emerged from inside the hollowed-out asteroids. These weapons had been built by human engineers working in secret for almost a year. They were designed to launch pieces of metal at speeds that could punch through any known armor. The railguns fired all at the same time, sending tungsten projectiles racing through space faster than bullets. The metal pieces hit the Valkyrie ships and went completely through their armor like hot knives cutting through butter. Alien vessels that had seemed invincible just minutes before now had huge holes blown through their hulls. Dr. Yang Soo-jin was watching the battle from her laboratory deep under the Mars surface. When she saw that the suicide ships and hidden railguns had done their job, she activated the electromagnetic pulse network that she had spent 2 years building. Invisible waves of energy swept across the entire solar system from satellites that the aliens had never detected. The energy waves hit every Valkyrie ship at exactly the same moment. All their computer systems shut down. Their weapons stopped working. Their engines went dead. Their communication devices became silent. The advanced alien technology that had conquered 12 star systems became nothing more than useless metal floating helpless in the dark of space on Earth General Park. Hyun-woo watched the battle from the main command center. His daughter, Major Park, Yoonji, was leading a squadron of human fighter ships, launching from Luna Base. These small, fast ships were designed to slip through enemy defenses and attack weak spots on the big alien. "Vessel's Dad, we are going in," she reported over the radio. Her voice was calm and professional, but General Park could hear the excitement underneath. His daughter had been training for this moment her entire career. The human fighters moved like a swarm of angry bees around the disabled Valkyrie ships. They fired missiles at weapon ports and engine systems. They targeted anything that looked important. The aliens tried to defend themselves, but their systems were still shut down from the electromagnetic pulse. Captain Ko Sung-min commanded an experimental stealth ship that had been hiding behind Jupiter moons for weeks. His vessel was designed to be almost invisible to enemy sensors. While the Valkyrie fleet was scattered and confused from the surprise attack, he struck at their command ships with precision missile strikes. "This is for everyone you enslaved," he said quietly as he watched enemy command vessels explode. "This is for all the worlds you destroyed and all the families you broke apart." The tide of battle was completely changed. Half the Valkyrie fleet was destroyed or badly damaged. The other half was scattered and confused, with most of their systems not working. But the aliens were still dangerous, and they still had many ships left to fight with. The first phase of the human counterattack was a complete success, but Admiral Kim Tae-ho knew that the real battle was just beginning. The aliens would recover from their shock and regroup their forces. When they did, humanity would be ready for them. 2 years after the Thunder Mountain first revealed human military power, the galaxy faced its greatest test of the New Order. Deep in the Outer Rim territories beyond the reach of civilized law, 3 rogue governments had formed an alliance called the Iron Fist Coalition. They believed that human forces were spread too thin to stop a coordinated attack on multiple targets. They were about to discover just how wrong alien military leaders could be when they underestimated human strategic planning capabilities. Admiral Song Jae now commanded the newest Titan-class battleship Eternal. Dawn from his position at the center of the massive bridge. The ship was even more advanced than the Thunder Mountain. incorporating improvements learned from 2 years of actual combat operations throughout the galaxy. His fleet of 12 vessels moved through hyperspace toward the outer rim where the Iron Fist Coalition had begun attacking isolated human colonies. The enemy alliance included the Scarlet Dominion, with their powerful heavy cruisers, the Void Runners with their fast attack ships, and the Bone Fleet with their massive but slow dreadnoughts. Intelligence reports showed that the Coalition had over 300 warships spread across 50 star systems. Traditional military thinking suggested that human forces would need months to coordinate a response against such a widespread threat. The Coalition leaders were counting on having time to establish fortified positions before humans could react. Admiral Song Jae studied the tactical displays showing enemy fleet positions throughout the region. The aliens had made the same strategic error that every opponent seemed to make when facing human forces. They assumed humans would fight like other species using predictable tactics and conventional approaches. Communications Officer Kim Hai reported incoming priority transmissions from Coalition forces. Admiral, we are receiving surrender demands from Coalition Supreme, Commander Vex. He claims that human forces are outnumbered 15-1 and cannot possibly defend all threatened colonies. Simultaneously, Admiral Song Jae activated the main communication system to respond to the enemy demands. Supreme Commander Vex, this is Admiral Song of the Earth Defense Force. Your forces have attacked civilian populations in clear violation of galactic law. Cease all hostile activities immediately and withdraw to neutral space or face complete destruction. The reply came within minutes, filled with arrogant confidence. Admiral Song, you humans may have powerful individual ships, but you lack the numbers to fight a real war against a major alliance. We have studied your deployment patterns. You have perhaps 20 ships spread across the entire galaxy. We have 300 vessels concentrated in this region alone. What Supreme Commander Vex did not understand was that human military doctrine had evolved far beyond simple ship-to-ship combat. The Coalition faced not just the 12 vessels of Admiral Song fleet, but the full technological and strategic capabilities of human space. Power. Admiral Song activated his fleet-wide command network linking every human ship in the region through quantum communication systems. All vessels, this is Admiral Song. Operation Thunderstorm is now active. Execute coordinated strike patterns against all designated enemy targets. Elimination of Coalition forces begins immediately. What happened next would be studied in military academies throughout the galaxy for centuries. Human ships did not attack the Coalition fleets directly. Instead, they targeted the critical infrastructure that kept enemy forces operational. Fuel depots, communication relays, repair facilities, and command stations throughout Coalition territory were destroyed simultaneously by precise kinetic strikes. Within 6 hours, Coalition warships began running out of fuel for their plasma weapons. Their communication networks failed, leaving commanders unable to coordinate with their scattered fleets. Repair ships found their bases destroyed, making it impossible to fix battle damage from human attacks. The Eternal Dawn led the final phase of the operation, moving through Coalition space like a force of nature. Enemy dreadnoughts that should have been capable of fighting human ships found themselves defenseless without fuel or working weapon systems. Coalition crews surrendered rather than face certain death in disabled vessels. Supreme Commander Vex transmitted his surrender from the bridge of his flagship, which had been completely disabled by targeted strikes against its power systems. Admiral Song, your tactical abilities are beyond anything we expected. Coalition forces yield to superior human strategy and firepower, but the real significance of Operation Thunderstorm was not the military victory itself. Every major government in the galaxy had monitored the battle and drawn the same conclusion. Human forces could defeat any conceivable enemy alliance, no matter how large or well-prepared they might be. Back on Earth, President Kim Min convened an emergency session of the Global Defense Council to discuss the implications of their latest victory. The assembled leaders represented every major nation and military branch of humanity, united government structure. The galaxy now understands that we are not just powerful, but invincible. President Kim began. Every species has seen what happened to the Iron Fist Coalition. No government will risk military conflict with human forces after witnessing such a complete demonstration of our capabilities. But with ultimate power came ultimate responsibility. General Park Sue raised the critical question that every human leader was thinking about. What do we do now that every alien government fears us? How do we use this level of influence to create the kind of galaxy we want to live in? The answer came from Admiral Park Mina, who had guided human strategy from the beginning. We become the protectors that the galaxy needs, not conquerors who rule through fear, but guardians who maintain peace through strength. We use our power to ensure that no species ever again has to live in terror of stronger neighbors. The Galactic Protectorate was established 6 months later, with human forces serving as peacekeepers throughout civilized space. Unlike previous galactic powers, humans did not demand tribute or territory. They asked only for cooperation in maintaining peace and the right to intervene when any government attacked innocent populations. Captain Choi Min now served as Director of Galactic Security, coordinating human patrol fleets from a command center that monitored every inhabited system in known space. Her wall-sized displays showed the status of thousands of worlds, all protected by the quiet efficiency of human guardian ships. The transformation was remarkable. Trade flourished under human protection, reaching levels not seen in galactic history. Scientific cooperation between species accelerated as governments no longer needed to waste resources on military competition. Colonial expansion proceeded peacefully, with disputes settled by arbitration rather than warfare. But perhaps most importantly, the galaxy had learned that true strength came not from the ability to destroy enemies, but from the wisdom to protect friends. Humanity had achieved what no previous dominant species had ever managed. They had created peace through power exercised with restraint and moral purpose. The outer rim territories that had been lawless frontiers for centuries became peaceful regions where families could settle without fear. Pirates and raiders found no safe harbors when human patrol ships could appear anywhere within hours. Criminal organizations discovered that their old business models no longer worked in a galaxy protected by human guardians. 5 years after the Thunder Mountain first revealed human military capabilities, violent conflict between civilized species had become virtually extinct. The galaxy was not perfect and probably never would be, but it was safer and more prosperous than anyone had dared hope possible. Admiral Song Jae stood on the observation deck of the Eternal Dawn, watching the lights of New Geneva Station, where representatives from over 400 worlds had gathered for the annual Galactic Peace Conference. Humanity had kept their promise to use power wisely, and the results spoke for themselves. The quiet species had become the galaxy's most trusted guardians. The thunder had given way to the Velkari fleet commander was filled with rage like nothing he had ever felt before. His name was Vex Kalan, and he had conquered 47 different star systems in his long military career. Never before had an inferior species dared to attack his forces with such crude tactics. Half of his magnificent fleet was destroyed or floating dead in space. Vex Kalan activated his emergency communication system and sent a message to every human vessel in the solar system. His forearms moved wildly as he spoke, and his red eyes burned with fury. "You fight like cowards and weaklings," he screamed into the transmitter. "You hide behind tricks and lies instead of facing us in honorable battle. Face us ship to ship, warrior to warrior, and we will show you what real fighting looks like." Admiral Kim Tae-ho's response was heard by every human in the solar system. His voice was cold as ice when he answered the alien commander. "Honor, you ask us about honor. You came to our home to kill our children, or make them into slaves. You destroyed entire worlds full of innocent people. You burned civilizations to ash just because you could. There is no honor in what you do, so there will be no honor in how we destroy you." Commander Ryu Jae-sung led the second wave of human attacks from Titan Base near Saturn. His ships moved through space like a pack of wolves hunting together. They used the chaos and debris from the asteroid field to hide from enemy sensors. The Velkari were used to fighting enemies who followed the same rules of war that they did, but humans wrote their own rules when their families were in danger. Ryu Jae-sung was 38 years old and had been fighting in space battles since he was 20. His wife had died in a transport accident 3 years ago, but his twin sons were safe in an underground bunker on Earth. He had promised them that no alien would ever hurt them, and he intended to keep that promise no matter what it cost. His squadron of 12 ships attacked the scattered Velkari vessels like sharks attacking wounded prey. They would strike fast with all weapons firing, then disappear behind asteroids before the aliens could return fire. Each attack damaged enemy ships and made them weaker for the next strike. Sergeant Kim Hae-won was operating a weapons platform that had been hidden inside Europa ice crust around Jupiter. Her team of engineers had spent 6 months tunneling deep beneath the frozen surface of the moon. They had carved out chambers and filled them with missile launchers that were completely invisible from space. Kim Hye-won had grown up on Europa Colony and knew every tunnel and ice cave on the moon. She was 28 years old with bright eyes and quick hands that could operate any weapon system ever built. Her parents still lived in the colony and were hiding in the emergency shelters waiting for the battle to end as Valkyrie ships passed overhead searching for human forces that had attacked them. She pressed the firing button. Dozens of missiles erupted from beneath the ice like angry spirits rising from the grave. The aliens had no idea where the attack was coming from until it was too late to defend themselves. The missiles struck 3 alien ships and sent them spinning out of control with their hulls cracked, open and atmosphere bleeding into space. The Valkyrie commander of that group sent scouts to investigate the ice surface, but they found nothing except normal looking frozen ground. All across the solar system, the battle was spreading to every human settlement and space station. On Mars, civilian volunteers were loading ammunition for the defense platforms. On Venus, automated factories were working without stopping to produce more weapons and supplies. Every human outpost, every mining station, every scientific research base had become part of the war effort. Dr. Lee Jin-woo had developed special ammunition designed specifically to penetrate Valkyrie armor. His factories on the moon were producing millions of rounds every hour. Each bullet was crafted with the precision and attention to detail that humans were famous for throughout the galaxy. Every bullet carries our promise, he told his workers as they loaded the ammunition into transport ships. Every shot we fire says that no alien will harm our families while we still draw breath. The Valkyrie were slowly beginning to understand that they were not facing a normal enemy. Humans did not just fight with their military forces. They fought with their entire civilization. Every human was a potential warrior, every piece of technology was a potential weapon, and every location was a potential battlefield. Fear began to spread through the alien ranks as more of their ships were destroyed by attacks that came from directions they never expected. They had conquered dozens of star systems, but they had never faced an enemy that refused to follow the established rules of warfare. The humans were teaching them a harsh lesson about what happened when you threatened a species' children. Captain Han Ji-woo was in command of the mining ship Iron Mountain. Her vessel looked like a normal working ship that dug metals and rocks from asteroids. But for the past 6 months, her crew had been secretly changing the inside of their ship. They had removed most of the mining equipment and filled the empty spaces with enough explosives to destroy a small moon. Han Ji-woo was 35 years old with short black hair and hands that were rough from years of working in space. She had a daughter named Min Jung who was 8 years old and lived on Earth with her grandmother. Every night before sleep, Han Ji-woo would look at a picture of her little girl and promise that no alien would ever hurt her. The Iron Mountain was not alone in its secret mission. All around the solar system, hundreds of other ships that looked like normal civilian vessels had been changed into weapons. Old cargo ships that used to carry food and supplies now carried bombs. Transport ships that used to move people between planets now had explosive charges hidden in their cargo holds. The Valkyrie fleet was moving closer to Earth, and they had crossed the invisible line that Admiral Kim Tae-ho had drawn around the human homeworld. The alien commander was confident that his superior ships would easily destroy any human resistance. His sensors could detect human military vessels from very far away, but he did not pay attention to the small civilian ships that seemed to be running away in fear. This was exactly what the humans had planned for months. The aliens would ignore the civilian ships until it was too late to stop them. Lieutenant Colonel Cho Min-ho was hiding inside Ceres Station, which was built into a large asteroid between Mars and Jupiter. For 8 months, his team of engineers and soldiers had been working day and night to hollow out dozens of asteroids and fill them with powerful weapons. From the outside, these space rocks looked completely normal, but inside they contained railguns and missile launchers that could punch holes through the strongest alien armor. Cho Min-ho was 42 years old and had been a soldier for 20 years. His wife and 2 sons lived on Luna Colony, and he had promised them that he would come home after the battle was won. He sat in the command center of his hidden base, watching the Valkyrie ships get closer to the perfect position for his trap. The alien fleet was moving in a tight formation just like human intelligence officers had predicted they would. The Velkari were very organized and efficient in their attack patterns, but they did not understand human creativity. They had conquered other races by using superior technology and overwhelming force. They had never fought an enemy that would hide weapons inside fake civilian ships or hollow out asteroids to make secret military bases. Dr. Yang Su-jin worked in her secret laboratory deep under the surface of Mars. She had spent 2 years developing electromagnetic pulse weapons that could shut down Velkari computer systems. Her laboratory was connected to hidden satellites that had been placed all around the inner solar system. When she activated her weapons, the satellites would send out invisible waves of energy that would make all the alien technology stop working. Yang Su-jin was 50 years old with gray hair and tired eyes from working long hours. She had a daughter named Hee-jin, who was a fighter pilot in the human Space Force. Both mother and daughter were fighting in their own ways to protect Earth and all the people they loved. The doctor looked at her control panels and saw that everything was ready. The Velkari ships were almost in the perfect position. All the hidden weapons were charged and waiting. All the civilian ships had received their coded signals and were prepared to attack. Han Ji-woo received the signal she had been waiting for. She turned to her crew of 30 volunteers and spoke in a calm voice. "All stations, this is Captain Han. You all know why we are here and what we came to do. Our families are counting on us to protect them. Today we show these aliens what humans will do when our children are threatened. Every person on the Iron Mountain knew that they would not survive the mission. They had volunteered to give their lives so that their families could live free." The ship began to accelerate toward the largest Velkari vessel. All around them, other civilian ships were doing the same thing. The trap was about to spring and the aliens had no idea what was coming for them.